Hi and welcome back to another video. Today I'll be sharing with you what my first panic attack was like and how it has affected me since. The following event was a critical point in my life that officially marked the beginning of many years of anxiety and the ups and downs that followed. I hope that sharing the story could be helpful, as perhaps you may have had a similar experience and could relate to some of the things mentioned in this video. And if not, no worries, as there's plenty more content on the way. So as I mentioned in my first video, anxiety has been with me for as long as I can remember, but for many years I had no idea that having fear and panic was unusual, and so I didn't give it much thought and certainly had no plans of fixing anything. Going back to my childhood, as a kid I was generally happy and outgoing, but I remembered certain times when I would experience intense stress that first started off as a kind of dark cloud that filled my mind. What followed was a steady build-up of negative thoughts that intensified as I tried to interpret the situation, and as my fear and imagination took over, I began feeling self-conscious and withdrawn from the world around me. Looking back in closer detail, I realized that the stress would often begin in social situations and was usually triggered by a fear of judgment from people who I did not know, along with a deep phobia of being abducted or harmed. And even though nothing of the sort ever happened, when the stress began to build up and my imagination took over, fear quickly turned into panic. At first, it seemed like the panic would never go away and would culminate in me being harmed in some way. This is actually putting it mildly, as in truth, I felt like I was going to die. Seconds felt like hours and time stood still as I awaited the inevitable. My panic soon got unbearable and was followed by sensations of intense mental and physical discomfort. Soon after the intensity peaked, I began feeling moments of relief, followed by brief glimmers of hope that the ordeal would soon end. Eventually, my heart pounded less, and although still disoriented from the experience, I eventually realized that there was no harm being done, and that the situation was not as bad as I had expected. My panic then gradually dialed down, my mind became more clear, and my mood returned to normal. Better than normal actually, as it felt like I had just survived. And for a brief period of time after, there was an immense sense of relief, followed by exhaustion that nearly always resulted in hours of sleep. After waking up, I would find that the fear would return, as I dreaded the experience would repeat, which inevitably it did. What I've just described would last anywhere from half an hour to even longer, depending on the situation, and was the blueprint for the most severe episodes of anxiety that have affected me since. Over time though, as I became more used to going through panic attacks, I got better at disguising them and acting as if there was nothing wrong in my quest to be normal. I later found out, however, that this ended up making things much worse. I didn't know it at the time, but by pretending that everything was okay, I was just suppressing my anxiety. The more I attempted to ignore it and pretend that it didn't exist, the worse it would get, until eventually it led to a complete breakdown that took place during my teenage years and took me many years to recover from. Looking back, I realized that it wasn't necessary for things to have gone that way, and that I could have reached out for help before any damage was done. But in truth, I was ashamed of my anxiety and had an overwhelming determination to be normal. Eventually, the situation reached boiling point, and my breakdown ended up spilling over into every aspect of life and affecting those around me as well. The recovery itself was lengthy, but looking back, I was damn fortunate to have very supportive and understanding parents who knew a bit about psychology and would help me to get through the many years of anxiety that followed. What I've learned from my experience is that ignoring a problem won't make it go away, and by dealing with an issue early on, you'll have a much better chance of improving the situation there and then. Something else that I've learned is that I tend to do things the hard way. Although I've made progress over the years, it has taken me a lot of time, a lot of doubt, and a bit of luck to get me through. So please don't follow my example. If you know anyone who may be struggling with anxiety, you may want to suggest to them to seek out guidance from a qualified professional who may be able to give valuable advice and help to get started on the road to recovery. I hope that this video has been helpful. Next time, I will be sharing some coping methods that help me to manage my anxiety in daily life, and we'll be exploring different medications that I've used and that have helped me over the years. For now, thank you for watching, have a great day, and see you next time.